Hello and thank you for joining me today. Today I'm sharing with you a layout that I created using Blue Fern's Happy Accident. This is my first layout for the team and I hope that you enjoy it. I'm super excited to share it with you. Here you can see that I'm sharing with you the bits and pieces that I've used and a little bit of the collection. So typically when I start working with a collection, I cut these tags out. They're just random tags that I cut out using a die machine, and it just makes it easier for me to form my layers. Here you can see the chipboards that I used and my title that's from Winter Titles, and I used the Wonder. A little bit of the coordinating chipboard from the collection as well. A mix of flowers. I do use flowers from several different collections, and I will do my best to list all of them in the description below, but I'm not 100% sure on where they're from. Sorry. But moving on, here you can see that I'm trying to figure out the placement of my chipboard. Typically I do cut my chipboard, and that's just to make it last a little bit longer and spread it around the page just a little bit more. That's just me being frugal. Some people don't like to do that. I do. I wish that I would have embossed this before I cut it apart, but I was excited to get started. Now you can see that I started embossing. I've double embossed this. The first layer is with ivory and the second layer is with pearl. I did this because I really wanted the pearl to look very intensely white and I didn't want it to be translucent. So I just did the quick layer of ivory first. After I finished embossing everything, you're going to see that I've just started randomly stamping around the page. This collection has a lot of wonderful black accents, especially around the border, but I just wanted to intensify that throughout the page. So I'm using a Tattered Newsprint stamp, and it's a wonderful background stamp that we have, and I'm just using waterproof black ink for that. In addition to the clear gesso that I started with, I think I did that actually off camera, but I do that to all my pages, and that's just so they can hold up to any medium that I'm going to be adding. You're seeing me add heavy white gesso now, and that's just because I'm going to be adding colors to this layout that aren't really in the pattern paper, and I want to make sure that they have a platform to stand up on and that they're not going to look muddy or brown. And when this dries, it's not going to look as white. You'll see after it's dried. Next, I'm adding just a little bit of light texture paste through a stencil. I'm playing off the squares in the chipboard with this stencil, and it's not going to really add any color or anything to the layout. It's just straight up texture. That's all it is. And that's why I like using a lighter paste, because it doesn't really change anything. It just adds texture. And you can see that it's just random in my 3 clusters, no rhyme, no reason. It's just something in the background. And now that it's dry, you can see that it really didn't change it at all. It's just, like I said, giving it the texture and the support that it needs. So here you can see that I'm adding 3 colors to the layout. These are flat colors, they're not shimmer. It's just a flat matte color, and I'm adding yellow, purple, and orange. I don't want these colors to be muddy, and I really just want them to stay where I'm putting them, so I'm drying in between colors, and I'm not spraying. I'm just using a paintbrush to place them where I want them to be. Again, I wasn't really trying to change this layout, this background very much. It's a beautiful paper already. I'm just adding colors to it that were in my picture. Here you can see that I'm forming my cluster using the tags that I pre-cut, and once I get the cluster the way that I want them, I'll just add a quick staple to hold them in place. And then you'll see me create 2 smaller clusters off to the side using smaller tags that I've cut up a bit. Now you're going to see me place the chipboard. Of course, I've forgotten where I want the chipboard to go, but I'm going to move it around and it'll find its happy home, so it all works out in the end. Here you can see that I'm adding just a piece of cardboard to my layout, and that's just going to give my focal point a little bit of a lift to keep it even with the clusters of flowers that I'll be forming around the page. It's nothing special, just a box that I had on hand. It's a cheap, easy way to give your page a little bit of stability. Here you can see that I'm adding some glitter to the blobs of glue that I've squished out behind my chipboard, and that's just a fun way to cover up your glue and add a little bit of sparkle to the page without necessarily planning on it going there. Now you can see that I'm starting to build my clusters of flowers. I'm not 100% sure of all the collections that I've used, but I will have them listed in the description to the best of my ability down below. And I'm just going to continue to play with the flowers until I'm happy with clusters. This is always a very tedious part. I never know exactly where I want them to go. Here I'm just adding a little bit of white gesso to the flowers. Because I use so many different collections and so many different colors, I wanted to tie them all together somehow, and adding a little bit of white gesso to the top of them just tones down some of the really intense color and makes them seem more cohesive. And now you're going to see me start to splatter. I'm splattering acrylic paint and the color sprays that I worked with. You'll see me add blue paint with a ton of shimmer, pink paint with a ton of shimmer. I add a little bit of white and a tiny bit of black ink as well. And I just splatter all over the whole page, repeating the process over and over and over again. And you'll see me skip ahead. And now I'm going to add a little bit of bits and bobbles, some sequins, some dewdrops, a couple little beads and pearls, just a little bit here and there, and then I'll splatter again on top of that to make sure that they're blended into the background and not taking over a focal point. A little bit more beads and glitter, and you can see I'm just shaking around the beads to make sure that they grab glue before I shake the page off. I'm going to continue to add a couple more splatters to tie everything together. Tuck my photo into place, and then I'm going to add my last little bit of chipboard. This is from the collection, and it's a pattern chipboard, and it has a really cute verse on it, and I've just decided that I wanted it to be cut out and just off to the side there, so I'm cutting all the words out of the chipboard and just placing them randomly along the side. Little bits of glitter and beads adhered with a little bit of matte medium. And that's really it. I hope that you've enjoyed my process. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I will see you next month with another video. Again, thank you, and you have a great day.